Have you ever wondered what goes on behind the table at a dance competition? Exactly what are the judges looking for anyway? This is Making the Impact, a dance competition podcast. Each week, we'll cover a different topic related to the world of competitive dance from the perspective of the judges behind the table. One of the most coveted opportunities in the dance competition and convention world is being a convention assistant. Assistants work directly with faculty on convention weekends, making industry connections and helping train young dancers. Today on Making the Impact, we're hearing from studio owners as well as a professional convention assistant about what it takes to land this opportunity.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Making the Impact. I'm your host, Courtney Ortiz, and I'm here with my co-host, Lesley Mealor.
Hello friends. Hi Courtney. I'm so excited to be here for this episode today. This is something that people have been asking for.
They have. It's a big episode, and it's a big deal in our dance world. And we're talking about dance convention assistants. And we have some wonderful brand new guests who are joining us over here on Making the Impact podcast to chat all about this topic. And Lesley, things are moving quick in our fall. Competition season and convention season are starting, and countdown to the wedding is here.
How are we here already? As of this air date, we are 23 days away from the wedding.
I can't wait.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, it feels like the fall has just flown by. Everything has flown by. And now people are about to go to conventions and be assistants in any minute now. So I think this is a perfect time for this chat. And I can't wait to hear from our guests.
Yes, me too. So before we jump into this episode, let's hear from our sponsors. Calling all dancers ages 15 to 18 or in grades 10 through 12. You have just 1 month left to apply to Young Arts. Young Arts is the only U.S. organization that supports young artists across multiple disciplines, including dance. Winners can earn cash prizes, mentorship from industry leaders, and even an all-expense-paid trip to Miami for Young Arts Week. As a Young Arts winner, I can tell you that this program truly changed my life and helped launch my dance career. Don't miss your chance. The deadline to apply is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Enter now at youngarts.org/apply or click the link in our show notes to learn more. Dance World, we're back over here at Making the Impact, and boy, do we have a great episode in store for you today because we're talking all about convention assistants. And we're talking about dance conventions in particular. Now, so many of you in the dance world probably attend a dance convention. They are the thing to do right now in the industry. And there are a lot of different companies that have popped up throughout the years. I remember growing up, we were just a competition studio, the studio that I grew up at. We would maybe go to 1 or 2 dance conventions just to get the class experience. But now there's actual studios that only strictly attend dance conventions with the competition attached, and they are seeking those style events out. But with that comes a lot of opportunities, and one of those opportunities may be becoming an assistant for the actual dance convention, which is really cool and exciting. But I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what does that even mean? How do I become an assistant? What is in store for me if I do? What does the commitment schedule look like? And how do I juggle being an assistant on the weekends with going to school during the week because you're a kid? And going to your home studio in the nighttime. That sounds like a full-time job for a kid. But we're going to talk all about that today and learn the ins and outs of being a dance convention assistant. We have 3 new guests joining us on the podcast today. And the first 2 guests that I'm excited to welcome are coming to us from Texas. They are both studio owners, and I've had the pleasure of judging and teaching their dancers at dance conventions. I'm so excited to welcome Megan Friedman and Brandi George to the podcast. Welcome, y'all.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yes,
Excited
thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much.
Yay. I'm so glad that you both could be here to represent your studio, and feel free to tell the world your studio. Give a little shout out.
We're the Pack in Spring, Texas.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Love it. Well, if you wouldn't mind telling us, and based on my notes, y'all have been teaching for over 15 years, but then this is your 10th season in studio ownership?
That's
right.
correct. We are going on our 10th season. It's exciting.
Wow,
it's hard to believe,
congratulations.
but yes, for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, if you wouldn't mind both giving me a quick little rundown on who you are, where you grew up, your dance training, why you got into studio ownership, and yeah.
Okay. I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. So I started dancing when I was 3 in Louisiana. And when I moved to Texas, I joined a competitive studio. That was my first experience with competing. I thought it was really fun. I loved it. We did some conventions here and there too. I started teaching when I was 17, and I quickly fell in love with teaching the younger dancers and the creative movement and early childhood dance aspect of the studio. I think it's so special. And seeing the kids that start with me when they're 2 or 3 progress through our program and go on to become incredible dancers and humans and go on to do great things, that's so cool and so special. About 10 years ago, Brandi and I started talking, and our visions aligned, and our goals for the dancers that we knew and wanted to provide for were the same. And we wanted to have a studio that was training based and provided an advanced opportunity for kids that wanted more, while also meeting the needs of the recreational dancers in the community. So our business is kind of finding the balance there with our studio and being able to serve both needs. I'm also married to my husband, Kyle, and we have 2 little boys that keep us busy.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
Awesome. And next up, Brandi.
I am Brandi George. I started dancing at the age of 5 in Beaumont, Texas, under Pam Shalander. I moved to Houston area around the age of 10, and I started dancing under Stephen Boyd and Kim Kelly at Houston Dance Center. And then towards the end of my high school days, I was dancing at American Academy of Dance under CC White. I trained in all genres, but my favorite was tap. So I was a Young Arts winner my senior year. Yeah.
Me too.
That was really awesome. Yeah. So that was a really cool experience going to Miami and doing all that. So, and then I went to Texas Christian University. I was a TCU showgirl there, which is their dance team. And then the end of my sophomore year, I auditioned and became a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. And I did that for a season. Hey. And I traveled on the USO tours and did all that. And then I graduated from TCU with a degree in psychology, speech communications. But I decided that I wanted to get married to my husband, who was a professional athlete at the time, a baseball player. So I kind of got away from dance for a long time. I had 3 kids. And after Sadie, my daughter, was born, I felt like something was missing, and that something was dance. So I started teaching again, and I realized, okay, this is my jam. This is what was missing in my life. And so I was teaching. And then, like I said, we met. We had very similar philosophies about running a studio and what was important to us, the values of integrity, versatility, all of those things. And so it was a great fit. So we opened the Pack, and the rest is history. We have an amazing studio, close to 700 students, and we love it. So it's great.
700 students.
Yes. That was what we topped out at last season. Yeah.
Wow.
That is
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah, it's great. We love it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that I'm pretty certain that y'all have won the Making the Impact Award previously.
we have. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, we. My daughter and her duet partner Avery had a tap duet, and they won that award. So that was really cool.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I remember giving it out.
Yay!
That's so awesome. Well, congrats
Yes.
on the success of the studio, and we're really thrilled to have you both here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next up is a new special guest, and Maryland is in the house. Represent Maryland's dance scene. She is a professional dancer coming to us from New York City now, and she is going to be bringing the convention assistant perspective to this chat. I'm very excited to welcome Kiyah Rush to the pod. Welcome, Kiyah.
Thank you for having me, Courtney. I'm really excited. Love this topic of conversation.
Yay. I know. I'm excited to hear all about it because I've never been a convention assistant. So I have no idea. I work with them, but I don't know what it's like to be one. So you're going to share that with the world today here on the pod. Well, Kiyah, please feel free to share a little bit more about you.
Yes. So similar story. I started dancing when I was 5 in Maryland. I was at a rec studio until about 10 years old. Moved to Spotlight Studio of Dance in Millersville, Maryland. From 10 to, I want to say 16, stopped competition dance. I didn't stop conventions. I just stopped competing with the studio for about a year, went to a ballet conservatory. I knew that I wanted to go to college for dance and pursue a degree in dance. And I knew through that audition process, I would need to be stronger in my ballet technique. So I focused on that for about a year. I missed the fun aspect of like being a high school kid in competition. So I went back to a studio owned by Mindy Snyder called the Dance Collective, which is also in Millersville, Maryland. Graduated from there, went to Pace University. I graduated in 2024 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Commercial Dance, with a concentration in choreography. And I started assisting a convention my sophomore year of college and have been doing that since. Worked professionally a few times throughout the years, and still doing the same thing in New York.
You're hitting the New York City dance grind, as I'm sure
Yeah.
It's audition season right now. So
Totally,
you're hitting the ground running. Awesome, Kiyah. Well, we're very happy to have you here on the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into this chat about dance conventions.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, guys, for being here. We're excited to hear about everybody's experience from the various perspectives. I want to start with Brandi and Megan and understand a little bit about, do you encourage your students to pursue these opportunities, and or how do they come about for your students, and what is your philosophy on allowing them to pursue these opportunities?
You want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take that. So we the way our company is set up, we do have an older group of kiddos who are our pre-professional company. And so they attend a lot of conventions. They attend optional conventions, aside from the ones that are required. All of our rehearsals and training hours are Monday through Thursday. So, and that is very purposeful because we want to give our kiddos an opportunity to go and train at conventions and have the opportunity to assist if that's something that is a goal of theirs. So, yeah, I mean, I think that that's kind of how we set up our program so that it's, achievable for our kiddos.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of studios, mine growing up included, we had rehearsals on Saturdays, and that was a mandatory rehearsal day. Like, if you were on the competition team, you had to be available for a ballet class in the morning that led into however long rehearsals were based on the amount of dances that you were in. So I do feel that a lot of studios, and especially newer studios, you guys have been in business for 10 years. Like, I'm talking back in 1997 when I was at my dance studio. Like, it's a different world now, and dance conventions are prioritized by a lot of studios, and these opportunities are also prioritized by the studios. So I think studios are modifying schedules to accommodate these potential chances for dancers to go off and tour with conventions and things like that. So I think it's kind of different than when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah. We would spend all day Saturdays at the studio rehearsing. And it's difficult to squeeze everything that we want to do in those 4 days for those upper level dancers because they train in all genres and they have a lot of dances and solos and all of that. But we do make it a priority so that they have those opportunities to grow and, experience things like that. So
was that similar for you, Kiyah? When you were growing up, did you all have rehearsals on the weekends? Would you have been able to be an assistant in your competition days?
When I was younger, so maybe like the mini age category, we did have rehearsals on Saturday. I don't think that conventions were so prioritized when I was younger, not until maybe I hit like the middle, like upper middle school, early high school ages is when I think the convention world started to burst a little bit. And where, I don't know, something tangible seems like it was there that my studio directors could recognize as well and wanted us to also be amongst like so many other people from different areas in front of like new faces in the dance industry. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I grew up through the bursting of the convention circuit. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, what does it take to become a convention assistant? I think that a lot of different organizations have different expectations to that. And I know that Kiyah, you said that you are an assistant since you've been in college, which to me almost feels like more of a professional assistant possibly. But there's obviously convention assistant opportunities for dancers as young as 12 and 13 years old. And do we all feel that, or from your experiences attending different conventions, what is that process like? Can anybody apply or audition? Is it hand selected? How does it work?
With the convention I specifically work for, We don't have any younger assistants unless there are like national winners.
Oh,
So
okay.
every professional assistant is like post high school. I do think there can be learning opportunities for, within the other conventions for them to have the younger assistants, just because like it's such a great learning opportunity from a young age to have that professionalism in front of a large room of people. I do think that can be really helpful. I haven't experienced that firsthand with what I do, but I do think there could be great lessons in that. Yeah.
Megan, Brandi.
A lot of the ones that our kids have had opportunities through have been kind of through the audition process in the convention and then hand selected, that sort of thing.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, there's some where if they're like an honored dancer or they're dancer of the year, then with that title, they become an assistant throughout that season that they're, the honored dancer or whatever. And then there's other opportunities where you can audition to be a company member. And with that, they have assistant opportunities. Several conventions have those programs where the target is like the younger kiddos, like teenagers, to give them that experience before they become professional assistants, just to see if it's a good fit, give them experience with different choreographers and assistant teaching before they decide that, hey, this person is something we want to hire and pay to do this job. So yeah, most of the ones we go to have younger assistant programs.
And what do you think from a studio owner and teacher perspective? What are the qualities of the kids at your studio that are being selected to do these things? What are making those kids the ones that they're choosing over somebody else?
It seems to be like our kiddos are really well-rounded. They train in a ton of different genres, so they can do so many things. I think that helps them stand out in that process, and they're just so talented at so many different genres. And
yeah, I think versatility is one of the pillars of our company because we feel like versatile dancers are hireable dancers after high school. And so our kids are very versatile. They can do just about any genre. But I think also is just there's like a hunger, just like being on fire for dance, the responsible, respectful. Those are things that I know that they look for in people who they're eyeing as assistant candidates. So those are some of the things. I'm trying to think about some of the applications we've seen and the things that they ask. Yeah,
I mean, like an interview, like do they get to know you as a person besides just as a dancer?
Right. So my daughter just went through the process to be like in the mentor assistantship position. And yeah, it was a pretty lengthy process. They had 3 hours of auditions at nationals, and then they had semifinalists, and then you had to write answers to a bunch of different questions all about you and your strengths and weaknesses as a dancer, why you wanted to do it, and then you had to get on camera and talk about all of those things.
Wow.
So it was a lengthy process. It wasn't just who's the best dancer in the room, who stood out.
Right.
It was more than that. They wanted someone who had all of the qualities that they were looking for. So it was cool. Yeah.
I feel like that what you both said, all of you have said, as far as versatility when it comes to a convention assistant is a really important aspect of this, because on my end, like I've said, I've never been one, but I teach on dance conventions. So I have assistants all the time. Sometimes certain dancers get stuck into specific genre bubbles because that's all they can do. And then they only assist these 2 teachers every single weekend. And then, I mean, that's also not exposing them any longer to other genres, because these teachers are like, well, I want this assistant because they're really good at contemporary or they're really good at that. That's flattering that, a convention teacher is requesting you personally for their class. But at the same time, sometimes something that I notice just about convention assistant programs in general is I want to make sure that those dancers are also still receiving the versatility on a convention weekend, just like any of the students that are on the floor would as well. So to just run around and assist the same style the whole weekend, that is taking away from being spread out and working with and connecting and networking with other teachers that are on faculty. And, like sometimes it's sad to say, but like the tap dancers the good tap dancers are probably only doing tap all weekend long because let's be real, there's not as many strong tap dancers in our industry for dancers these days. Everyone can fill the void for contemporary and sometimes jazz, but the tap one and hip hop too, I feel. Hip hop's getting a little bit easier because like the phenomenon of TikTok and things, and everyone loves jazz funk now. But like tap is the hardest, and ballet too. Strong ballet dancers is hard to come by to become an assistant.
Totally.
Right. Yeah. And I think that finding an organization for your kiddos that doesn't just look at your kiddo as an assistant, but looks at them as like, hey, we want to educate, the education process of that whole experience. You know, I know one convention, they expose them to the AV side, like the backstage side, the photography side. Like, and I think that's such a cool experience because, you know, kiddos don't necessarily know what they want to do. But if you give them all of those experiences, then they see the whole picture of what it means to be in the convention world. And so that's kind of our focus, is making sure that wherever our kiddos go, it's more of like an educational
and like
focus,
a mentorship
versus just
not just like another checking a box, you know.
Kiyah, has that been your experience with sort of when you are assisting? Are you only in the dance classes, or are you doing other responsibilities throughout your weekends?
Yeah. So, like I previously stated, I'm not familiar with like younger kiddos like still in studios being assistants unless there are national representatives. So I do think that is really cool that your kids get the opportunity to do that, because that exposes them, I feel like, to so many things that they're possibly interested in post high school, which is something that people don't find until, you know, maybe midway through college or like once they graduated college. So I think that's really cool. So as a professional assistant, we are working backstage. We run the competition. Some of our assistants are judges, depending on, you know, age, resume, whatnot. They're also judges. And then, I feel like we are really face on face with the children all weekend. I also teach like the baby ready, set, dance class.
Cute.
So I think a lot of our responsibility as well is the connection with the kiddos who are there, the studio owners. I feel like we really cultivate like a family aspect. I mean, I know a lot of places say that, but I'm like really passionate in what we bring to like that scenario. I feel very, very close with a lot of studio owners, a lot of their kids, and I like really deeply care about them. And I know everyone on our faculty does as well as our assistants. And I think that's also what can help the kids do better on the weekends, is when they feel like they're very, very cared about. And they feel like that they do have a place in our ballroom, and like we are there to help them and help them grow. So that's like, I feel like a really important part of the weekend for me, at least. Like I love connecting with the kids and seeing them grow throughout the years. I mean, I know how big of an impact the assistants had on me when I was growing up. So I want to return that to the kids these days. I love connecting with them. And then as far as like getting stuck in a genre, this is one of my favorite things about assisting at 23 years old, is that I'm not in college anymore. I don't have, you know, that hardcore schedule where I'm going to ballet class and I'm going to jazz class. All of our assistants are New York based. So, you know, I mean, it gets expensive to take classes. You're, you know, paying $25 a class sometimes. We're also young. We're in apartments. Like it's an expensive like industry to be in, you know, trying to fight for where you want to be in the industry. So my favorite thing is that we get to continuously train on the weekends. That is one of my favorite things. We do a very good job at rotating throughout every single style. I mean, also like we are out every weekend. I want to say I did maybe 17 cities last season, and they're like back-to-back weekends. We leave sometimes Wednesdays, come back Sundays, sometimes Monday. So, I mean, it's a very hard weekend on all fronts for everyone. But I feel like also it doesn't help when there's one person beating the same style every weekend. Like that's really hard on the body. That's really, really hard mentally. So I do think we do really well with, you know, trying to help each other out, rotate through the styles. I know for certain one of the assistants had an audition that included tap that was coming up one week. She asked on the weekend, can I be in every single tap class so I can work on my tap skills? And we were like, yeah, of course. Or if I feel like I just need like a ballet class for my technique, just in general, I'm going to be like, can I be in ballet? Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I feel like we do a good job with that. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's really, really nice that you can rotate and everybody has like good relationships with each other. That way it's, nobody's sort of taking advantage of, oh, I want to be in tap all the time. But like, if you need it, we can make that happen. That's really cool.
Totally.
Yeah, I love the idea of professional assistants. I like that, like, you're one of them, Kiyah, because I feel like that more conventions need to get on board with that. I think that there is a lot of great potential for younger dancers being exposed, but I also feel that sometimes it can fill their head a bit and they then think, oh, well, I don't need to train anymore because I've been selected as a dance convention assistant and now I'm standing on stage with this choreographer, even though there's a lot of things that stylistically aren't there yet or technically aren't there yet, but it almost feels like we've jumped, some progress in training, and the dance, it might do not damage, but it might change the perspective of the dancer and the mentality of the dancer because this is this accolade that they've been selected for. So like if it's a professional assistant, like you said, Kiyah, like you're a pro, you're an adult, you are more mature, you have been studying for longer years, you are representing the company and most likely also getting paid to do it. And that, I don't think that money has anything to do with being a professional, but it's also just being ready and prepared to step into this role. And it's hard to be an assistant in any capacity on all sides. And I think it's important to expose our dancers to that. But at the same time, there's a lot of times where I've felt as a convention teacher, like, I wish I had a professional dancer next to me as my assistant to demonstrate. And not that I don't love all of the students that I get to work with every weekend, but sometimes when the kids on the floor are watching them and they're not doing it right, then it kind of is a little bit tough to navigate as the teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Dancers ages 15 to 18 or in grades 10 through 12. This is your reminder that you just have 1 month left to apply to Young Arts and enter their national arts competition. If you're not familiar, Young Arts is one of the only organizations in the United States that supports young artists across multiple disciplines, including dance. Each year, winners of the National Arts Competition can earn cash awards, travel on an all-expenses-paid trip to Miami for Young Arts Week, work with industry legends, receive mentorship and professional guidance, and carry the prestigious title of being a Young Arts winner. As a past Young Arts winner myself, I can tell you firsthand how transformative this program is. I highly encourage every eligible dancer to take advantage of this opportunity before it's too late. The deadline to enter into Young Arts 2026 National Arts Competition is coming up quick, on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Learn more and start your application today at youngarts.org/apply or click the link in our show notes. A big thank you to Young Arts for supporting me as an alum and for sponsoring Making the Impact.
I was just going to say that I really love the conventions that, as part of their assistant program, require that they are still a member of their home company, their studio company.
Absolutely.
Because I think that just puts the emphasis on the right thing, which is training, what's best for the dancer and not necessarily what's best for the convention company. So I think everyone that we go to or our kids have been a part of requires that they are still on, training at their home studio.
And it's in a lot of the contracts that I've seen is for these assistants to acknowledge that like their home studio commitments always come first. And we really appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
It helps when we're all on the same page,
How, like, in y'all's experience with students that are doing this, how many weekends are these kids expected to go out? Is it, are they asking them to go out every weekend they can, or is it a minimum of something, or what do you know about that?
I think most of the ones I've seen have been a minimum of like 3 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
that's
nothing too crazy. A lot of them want to do more than that, right? But
Sure.
there's a minimum requirement of usually like I would say between 3 and 5.
That feels fair, I feel,
Yeah.
because they're also kids. And one aspect of being a dance convention assistant, and it's sad to say it, but it's an expense.
Mhm.
And, you know, as much as we want to be able to provide this to everybody, it does add up financially with also convention fees and travel and airfare and hotels and meals and all of these things, plus regular studio training, plus the mandatory competitions that you go to with your home studio. It's like these are bonus additional things we're adding to our schedule that now parents might be like, how do I make this happen? My kid wants to do this, but like, whoa, I didn't sign up for that financially at the start of the season. And I can imagine it is probably really hard for parents to juggle financially. So it is, I feel like there's no way around it. It's just like, that's part of the opportunity, unfortunately. And if it feels like a good fit, and if it feels like it'll be a really great chance for your dancer to grow and be exposed to different styles and teachers and networking and new friends, then like, yes, let's do the minimum amount that we're required to do to make this possible. But do I think that a kid needs to be at every single weekend a dance convention assistant? Absolutely not. Like, please go be a kid and don't be spending trillions and millions of dollars to fly all over the country to do this when it's like, yeah, you're getting free training essentially at the end of the day. But I think a lot of people think that, well, if I show face more, then I have higher chances of winning at nationals or whatever it goes on in everyone's head. But, you know, don't put your family in debt over being a dance convention assistant. I think that's really important.
and your kids' health. I mean, you know, there's got to be a balance there. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So these kiddos that are there every weekend, I mean, more often than not, they're injured by the time they're juniors and seniors, just because they're just not taking, they're burnt out either mentally or physically. So that balance, I think, is important for all the parents to remember that it's a long game. You got to see it as a long game.
Absolutely.
So.
Right. Well, and Kiyah, we kind of glossed over this part, but for the professional audition to be an assistant, what was that like? And what's that process like? Because this is a job interview. I mean, this is you are doing a job here as opposed to having an opportunity.
Right.
So I want to know what that was like for you. And do you have to do it every year? What's that process like?
Yeah. So it's not really a process. I feel we don't do an audition.
Oh man. Okay.
So we are a very like family-based company. A lot of the people you will see on stage as assistants have grown up through the company. So I feel like they pull from like within, of course. All of us have been convention kids for that one specific convention for a very long time. I personally thought my conventions were over for me like post high school. And I was like so okay accepting that fact that it was time to move on. I'm going to college. I'm going to New York. It's time to do something new. And I was so ready for that. And then I got reached out to by the director of the company. And I was actually asked first to work for the sister company, which is just a competition. So it was just strictly backstage work. And then I want to say like 3 cities later, I was asked to come on as an assistant. I love making this point very clearly because I think this is really important for young dancers. I was never a first place winner. I was never recognized nationally as a national winner, national title holder. I never traveled with the company through high school. And I think that's really important because I think a lot of people really strive for that first place which is obviously like an amazing achievement. And you can always have goals to try to reach, you can have goals. But I think the emphasis on like being the winner, being the best dancer of the weekend is like not helpful at all, especially like mentally on younger dancers. It's not helpful. I never went back to this convention multiple times a year, every year, because I was winning first place. I loved taking class. I loved making new friends. I loved the faculty that was in front of me. And I was just doing it out of pure enjoyment. And I was learning something every weekend that I was walking away. So yeah, I didn't expect to be asked to become an assistant because I was never the winner. And I was okay with that. I think what was seen in me from the director of the company was I had work ethic, and it wasn't something that I was trying to achieve, was being an assistant. So I think that if younger dancers, if this is like an opportunity that you would love to have as a job, like take the pressure off of it. I think the way you show up in a room is way more important sometimes than how you show up in your solo or how you show up in your group dances. Not saying don't do your best, not saying don't do your best, but I think that a mindset shift sometimes is really important.
I
Great
love that.
advice.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, at first when you were saying like we all grew up with the company, I was like, oh, that feels a little unfair to everyone who doesn't grow up with the company. But, there's something to be said for loyalty and for, that family atmosphere and like trusting and believing that these kids that have been with us for so long are going to grow up to be adults who want to continue to be with us. So if you are at a studio that does have a loyalty to a certain convention, that could work in your favor in a lot of ways. That's really interesting.
I'm curious to know, like, we talked about other things that dance convention assistants have to do on the weekends. A lot of time, like we hinted at, there's backstage work during competition, and they're learning how that all works out and seeing the ins and outs and the inner workings of a dance competition aspect. But when it comes to being an assistant on stage with a choreographer, what do they do? Is there more to just standing on stage and doing the combination? Or are there other things that they might have to do? Or are they running around like getting water for the choreographer? Are they handling the music for the choreographer? Are they jumping off stage and helping a student if they're in need? Other skills besides just being good at picking up choreography.
Right. So for me personally, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but the first like couple of cities, I feel like for us from like we start around like Halloween weekend through the holidays, I feel like we don't have as many national winners out. I mean, they're children, they're in school, they have like other activities and studio commitments, which is totally fine. And that's what we're there for. But I really do feel like we are the choreographer's body, and that is really what we are there to do. So a part of our job is being versatile, being able to pick up choreo quick. I know sometimes I ask the choreographer what we'll be learning or what we'll be going over so I can put myself in the right headspace for what I'm about to be doing. And obviously I want to show up well to represent the company, but I also want to make sure that the kids can understand what they're seeing on stage so they can have the best shot at looking their best as well. So sometimes I'll ask as well. And then any other like little things that they might need, obviously, like we'll help out with. Like sometimes like if a kid gets injured, that is on an assistant to run out and make sure the kid's okay and, stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like once, people get caught up on stage from the floor is when I'll step aside and let the kids dance. I personally believe like this job isn't about myself, and it is to elevate the kids who are in the room. So they want to dance. I let them dance. And then that is when I will also like help the choreographer like run music or anything like that. A lot of the times, sometimes in some classes, we also do like little audition situations depending on like what class it is or like when the audition is held. So sometimes we are standing next to the choreographer, helping them with numbers or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Great. Anything we missed that your dancers handle on convention weekends, Megan and Brandi?
I know that they help check in the competition portion.
Oh, yeah.
Making sure everybody's back there ready for their solos, that sort of thing. If there's any kind of issues, they're communicating that to the music people, making sure that it's running smoothly. I think that is really valuable. It's giving them a lot of responsibility with like face-to-face and customer service experience, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think in the classroom, I think the kiddos they'll help with the audition process. So they'll help line kids up whenever it's time for them to go across the floor or groups, or make sure, Susie's not standing right behind Jenny, you know what I mean? And so just they help kind of manage that. I haven't seen a lot of like the younger assistants do music. I think that could be kind of scary, but obviously the older, like the professional assistants probably would be okay doing that. But I think that's about it. That and getting on stage and making sure you're supporting the choreographer, the teacher in the classroom. I mean, that's about it. Just being ready for anything.
Yeah, for sure. Being ready for anything I think that like something that I wish that I saw more of as a convention teacher from the actual convention assistants is not being afraid to introduce themselves to me. Like sometimes they just show up on stage and I'm like, who are you? Like, what is your name? Where are you from? Like, I want to know more about you. And they just like assume I'm supposed to know them. And it's like, there's a lot of people in this room right now. So, maybe by the end of the season, I know who you are, but like, especially if it's your first time ever assisting this person, like, don't be intimidated. You're here for a reason. Yes, is it scary? Absolutely. Is this somebody that is like your idol or you look up to possibly? Like, yes, but also you signed up for this. So you have to be personable and not be afraid to use your voice and introduce yourself and ask, is there anything that you need? How would you like me to assist you today? What style are we doing? Is this a combo that I already know? Like, have the conversation. Yes, classes move fast and sometimes teachers are running from one ballroom to the next and they barely have time to breathe before they're jumping in. And those combos might not always happen. But even at the start of the weekend, if you can pull them aside, I'm excited to assist you this weekend. Like, I'll be in your junior room. Are you doing the combo from last weekend or not? Do I have to get ready for a new one? Because for me, I'm the type of convention teacher, and this varies with every company. Some companies ask convention teachers to create new material frequently for the experience. Maybe a lot of people are returning customers and dancers come to many cities, so they want fresh new combos. I'm the kind of teacher that is all for doing the combo more than once. And why? Because there is value in learning that same choreography more times. And I always tell my assistants, if this is your first time or your fifth time learning it, you should be learning new details and improving in this choreography every single time you do it. It shouldn't matter how many times you do it. And it doesn't mean that you just get to kick your feet up and relax because you already know the choreography. I think a lot of my assistants sometimes get real chill, like, oh, I already know this one. Yeah, it's this, this, and this. And I'm like, but you're still doing details wrong. So how are you truly improving in your training while you're assisting when the kids are watching you? You want to set the example and be the role model of the assistant, not goofing off on the side of the stage, not chit-chatting with your friends, not worried about getting your Instagram video. That you need to be in the moment and making sure that you are actually doing your role on stage. Like, I have honestly, sadly to say, but I've heard convention teachers be like, sorry, you're not paying attention and you're also not doing this right. Just because you won this award, I'm sorry, but you need to go onto the floor because you haven't earned your role right in this moment to be standing on this stage. And I think a lot of dancers just get comfortable and think, oh, well, I'm here and my mom paid me to get here. So I'm standing on this stage like I rightfully deserve. But there's still I have an expectation as a teacher still. And sometimes I don't even know what's going on behind me. I like look back, I'm like, what's going on back there? Because I'm focused on the students on the floor. I'm trusting the dancers on stage are doing what is expected of them.
Yeah. Well, I think as the studio director and a company director, it's really important to have those conversations with your kiddos. Exactly what you said. Use your voice. That's so hard for dancers because we are typically using our bodies, right? And so, a lot of times our older dancers, we force them to go introduce themselves to teachers when they're, juniors and seniors. They don't love that, but it's an experience that they need practice in. Right. And so just at nationals, we made them like, okay, this person, go have a conversation, go introduce yourself, tell them, whatever. And then, having the conversations about the expectations, what to expect, good class etiquette as an assistant, and having those conversations with your kiddos, just so that you're setting them up for success and not just like throwing them to the wolves.
Right.
So that's really important for us, that we're, preparing them for that.
Yeah. Kiyah, I want to know from your experience in the past couple of years doing professional assisting, what opportunities have afforded themselves to you from this connection? And we talk about it all the time. The dance world is so small. And then once you get down to the microcosm of your company that you work for, it's even smaller. But then everybody has these branches that reach out to other parts of the dance world. So what has come up for you that's been, kind of a perk of being an assistant?
Yeah, totally. So I think one of the most exciting things for me was being reached out to by the studios to teach their kids, which I never really saw a lane for teaching for myself. I always thought I would be the dancer, and that was the one thing I was going to do. And I never saw myself teaching. So I felt like really honored, honestly, that they would trust me with their students from what they have seen on a weekend. That was like one of the most exciting things for me. So I have loved visiting those studios and teaching their kids and forming a even closer connection with them. And then, it makes it even more special seeing them on a weekend and seeing how much they've grown from when I visited their studio to now we're on a weekend. How are they dancing? How are they acting in class? Like all of those things are very important to me. And that's what I talk to the kids about. So that one is really exciting. We have a lot of faculty that are currently connected to the industry. And I feel like one of the most exciting things about the company that I work for is that we're able to pull a lot of New York and LA choreographers. We do a nationals on the East Coast and the West Coast. So the New York nationals gets a lot of New York professionals, which I have been experiencing since I have been going to the convention. But as a professional assistant, I get to go up to these professionals that I take class from in the city without the convention aspect, introduce myself, let them know that I will be assisting them, and also like respecting that they are professionals. I will stand on the floor if you want to have the stage. I'm here to support you. What do you need? It's an honor, because I also know like I'm not their selected assistant, but I can say that I did assist this person and this person and this person, which I do think is one of the coolest things that I can say about this job. So that has been really fun. Also seeing those people on a weekend and being the forefront of the company and then going to their class outside of a convention weekend, I feel like has really helped me develop connections within the industry. So yeah.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, you could be auditioning for that same choreographer that next week for a Broadway show or a television job, That is what is so special about dance conventions compared to a regular dance competition, is that you are working with those industry professionals that most of them are oftentimes casting dancers for an upcoming who knows what. And in your position, Kiyah, like you said, you're an adult, you're a professional, you're an active auditioning professional. This is the perfect way for you to network versus a lot of the dancers that are still in high school. It's like, yes, absolutely. You can still network while you're in high school, because if you're planning to move to LA or New York, I'll remember like, oh yeah, I remember you when you were a freshman in high school, oh, you're an adult now. Like I remember those things as a convention teacher, and I'm rooting for you. And then I'm excited once you break into the professional industry. I mean, there's dancers that I've been watching for years grow up in my convention room, and they finally turn 18 and I send them to a cruise ship audition and I push for them and I get them their first job. Like that is an exciting opportunity for me as the convention teacher to like be a part of that full cycle of their dance training into professional life. So I think that's another perk of the networking aspect of conventions.
Yes. And I will also say every single faculty member that I assist on a weekend, they are at the top of my resume because they have all worked in like so many different facets of the industry, and they have made their own lane so well that I know that if someone sees my resume, reaches out to the people that are on my resume and gives them a call, I know for sure 100% they'd be like, yes, this person's great. You should do it.
Can I also just mention to everybody out there that if you have only assisted me once or any choreographer once and they don't know your name, that you cannot put them at the top of your resume because if, like you said, if that other choreographer who's looking at your resume calls that choreographer who they're friends with and says, hey, have you ever worked with Lesley Mealor? And the person's like, who? You're like that is not a good
do not want
idea.
That.
We do not want that.
Don't do that.
They must have a relationship with you. They must know your name. Like that is really important. You can absolutely say you've trained under these people.
Totally,
but even with that, that can sometimes, I've heard a lot of different wishy-washy answers to only put people on your resume that know you personally.
I would agree with that for sure, because tough. It is very common that choreographers are calling up familiar names on a resume.
Oh, yes.
So yes, I do have a very personal relationship with all the faculty members, and that's why they are on my resume. But
I know you do.
not a one time on the resume now.
Yes.
Right. I want this the same question for Megan and Brandi. Do you have students who have had some kind of unique opportunity because of being an assistant that you know of? I know you guys have only been in the business for 10 years, or in the business for your studio for 10 years, but so this might not have happened yet, but like it will probably happen. But has it happened that something really cool has happened due to being an assistant?
So we've had students at the PAC that have been assistants for conventions in their high school years go on to become hired professional assistants for conventions. And that's perfect. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think something kind of piggybacking on what Kiyah said, a lot of times as studio owners, sometimes we can't hire the choreographer, but we hire the assistants we've seen. And we've done that in the past and have had some of the best choreography ever. So that's definitely something, a door it opens for those kiddos. And I know some of our kiddos who are assistants are now doing choreo all over the country and having that kind of steady work, which is really so important for a dancer. So I think that's a huge opportunity as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it opens up a lot of doors just to like you said, like Kiyah said, I introduce myself, and you said we make the kids introduce themselves. So like it has to start somewhere so that once you get to Kiyah's age and level, like that it's no thing to just walk up and shake hands with somebody and say, hi, this is who I am.
Yeah, you have to be professional. I mean, that's part of it. So
yeah.
Another thing that I want to say with the whole communication aspect that hopefully people are listening and will start getting better at as we head into this competition and convention season is if you're a dancer who is scheduled to assist on a weekend who also is dealing with an injury, please make sure that you share that with your convention teacher because they won't know if you don't tell them. And please do not push through an injury on concrete floors with rugs over top. And then you have, a big important college audition next week, but you wanted to impress this choreographer at convention. It's truly not worth it. It's just a class. And you're not gonna, I don't want you to like ruin your career and your dancer body because you powered through just to impress somebody. And I think that can be said for any dancer on the floor at any convention, not just the assistants, but especially the assistants have a very high expectation from a lot of the choreographers where they're expecting them to like demo again, and they're rolling around and they're flipping on their head and they're exhausted because they've been taking 5 other classes beforehand. And it's like, you want to deliver to each choreographer that you're getting the opportunity to work with, but you also have to know when your body is telling you no and to take care of yourself because they're very long weekends. Oftentimes you don't even have time to drink water or grab a snack in between, which is important. I sometimes think the schedules are a little too jam-packed for these kids. When I look at them, like, do you get to take a nap today? Do you get to eat lunch, like a full proper lunch today? Because they're go, these kids. So I do think it's important to take care of yourself on those long weekends. And if that means that you have to, take a class off, like listen to your body. Yes, you're here to do a sort of a job, that you signed up for, but I don't want anyone to get more injured just because I need to power through because I'm here and mom spent all this money and I don't want to let Courtney down or whoever it is. You know what I mean? Because that's a hard thing to navigate as a kid as well. And that's why, again, I think professional assistants are such a great asset to the industry because they're more mature. They have more years of experience. They're adults. They've possibly lived that already. So they already know how to manage those tough conversations and things like that. There is a maturity aspect that comes into play with being a convention assistant.
100%.
Yes. I feel like we've covered most of the things, but going into convention season, I just want to say a general to like all dancers. I know that there's like an intense pressure that dancers put on themselves, and it shows when you step into a room. Nervous, you don't dance your best sometimes. So if I had to give a piece of advice, is to have fun. Everyone at the front of the room is truly rooting for you. And I think that's really important to remember. We want the best for you. And yeah, I mean, do your best, but like the world is not going to end in the convention ballroom and you're going to be great. Just be yourself. Yeah.
I think just my advice to studio owners is, train versatile dancers, all styles, and then also just give them the support that they need to be successful as an assistant. And that starts when they're younger, just training them in a way that when they reach that age, they are ready to go. They know what to expect, and then they're successful. So that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then, they don't have to take every opportunity that is offered to them. They don't need to drain their bank account to do this if it doesn't work for their family. But if anybody is considering being an assistant for any program, do some research, talk to some other people that have been involved in that program, get familiar with their goals and their values and what your kiddo is going to get out of it, and make sure it's in alignment with what you're looking for.
Thanks for tuning in to our latest episode all about dance convention assistants. Huge shout out to our special guests, Kiyah, Megan, and Brandi, for joining us on this chat. You can find Kiyah at Kiyah Rush, Megan at Meg Friedman, and Brandi at bgeorge811. And don't forget to follow their studio, The Pack, at The Pack Dance Co. on Instagram.
Don't forget to follow Making the Impact on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you want more exclusive episodes, support our podcast by joining our Platinum Premium membership for only $5 a month. Subscribers receive free Making the Impact stickers, shout-outs live on the air, ad-free listening, and exclusive access to our Q&A episodes for members only. Join now at impactdanceadjudicators.com/platinum premium or click the link in our show notes.
Be sure to check out IDA-affiliated competition Elevation on Tour. Elevation on Tour is redefining the dance competition and convention experience. Driven by a commitment to service, integrity, and innovation, Elevation on Tour is constantly evolving to ensure the best for your studio. Their passion for serving the dance community has challenged them to think outside the box, to create a space where dancers of all levels will grow in their artistry and character. Engage, embrace, and elevate your dance experience at Elevation Dance Convention. With their inspiring faculty, Elevation on Tour empowers dancers to return to the studio with a newfound energy and love of dance. Elevation on Tour Competitions offers 3 performance levels, stunning awards, and a distinguished 4-judge adjudication panel, including 2 specialty critiques for choreography and technique. Don't miss out on the teacher hospitality suite and dedicated warm-up area at every location. For more information about Elevation on Tour, visit their website at elevationontour.com and find them on Instagram at Elevation on Tour.
Coming up in the next few weeks, look forward to an IDA competition feature with Deca Dance, a day in the life of a Broadway performer, and a throwback to Season 1 with what makes a successful musical theater entry.
We'll see you next week for some more episodes. We hope you are enjoying Season 7.